It's Thursday, September 22nd, and you're listening to the Geek News Central Podcast, show number 707, sponsored by GoDaddy.com. Geek News Central is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. Geek News Central is also sponsored in part by GoToMeeting. Now, with HD Faces, the world's best web conferencing solution. Get your free trial at GoToMeeting.com. Click the Try It Free button and use the promo code podcast. Everybody got a great show lined up for you tonight. You know what comes next. Strap in. Here it comes.
All right, people, I need a go, no-go for the Geek News Central podcast. Digital archive recorders.
We're go fly.
Microphone.
We're go fly.
Video feed.
Go.
Web browser.
Go.
RSS data stream aggregator.
Go fly.
Interflux Toddism suppressor.
All right, I'm confused.
Host readiness check.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
The Geek News Central podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go. Cue Todd in
5,
Button, who's got the button?
4,
There's no cause for alarm.
3,
Everybody hold on to something.
2,
Just press the button.
1.
Aloha and welcome to the Geek News Central Podcast, coming to you as live as it can be from the beautiful state of Hawaii via the Geek News Central studio overlooking Greater Honolulu. Hey everyone, welcome to the show, and it's absolutely just it's beyond gorgeous here in Hawaii right now. The trades are up. I have, it's been beautiful days. It's just true Hawaii weather. I'm totally enjoying it, to be honest with you. But I want to give of course, a warm welcome to the Ohana. All of you that are longtime subscribers of the show, thanks for being here and being part of the family. And if you're new to the show, make sure you get over to geeknewscentral.com. Check out all our great content. Of course, check out our archive podcast available via the podcast link on the website. And I tell you, when you're over at the website, what you want to do is you want to get subscribed to the show. And subscribing is real easy. You're going to find on the second column of the website an orange box that says subscribe, basically. And you'll find the blog, you find the audio podcast, video podcast, our morning tech show, the Gadget Professor, Robot Underpants, the Chrome Show, all the shows that originate here at Geek News Central. And I encourage you, of course, to get subscribed to those and get dialed in and follow all of our producers. Of course, the Gadget Professor is released every Thursday. We have Robot Underpants every Monday. And when the Chromebook finally gets back from the repair shop, we'll get that show going again. But we do the morning tech show every Saturday, except for this coming Saturday. There will be no Chrome show, specifically because my daughter has her first ever cross-country meet, and I'm going to be there, and it starts a very early Saturday morning, so we may have to make some arrangements to do some sliding of the schedule one way or the other here soon, depending on what her meet schedule is, because with kids going to all kinds of sporting events on Saturday, there's just not enough of mom, and I have to make sure I fill in. So we'll let you know if there isn't going to be a Saturday morning tech. There will not be one this coming Saturday. But of course, we want to encourage you as well, when you're over to the website, to sign up for the newsletter. You'll find a link to that in the very top of the website, and you can sign up for the Geek News Central newsletter or the Gadget Professor newsletter. And basically, we send you everything that's in the show notes directly to your inbox, so that you'll be, number one, reminded that there's a new show out, and number two, so that you basically have everything to follow along on the website. So getting subscribed to the newsletter and subscribing to the show is really the best way never to miss an episode here at Geek News Central. Again, we're in show number 707 and on our march to 800. Of course, we want to encourage you to watch us on our Tech Podcast channel on Roku, Boxy, Samsung Smart TV as well. And of course, if you want to reach out to me at the show, you can do so at Geek News on Twitter, or you can email me here at the show at geeknews@gmail.com, geeknews@gmail.com. All emails sent in about the show, make sure you just, put in there the comments for the show, and we'll make sure that we cover it at the end of the show, which we normally do. And, of course, if you want to speak out, you can do so as well at our voicemail hotline at 619-342-7365. And that is one thing I didn't do at the beginning of the show that I'll have to look at here while we're progressing through the content. But I guess what I want to talk about right off the bat, and really I can't say too much, is the jury duty. All I can really say is I'm still on jury duty. And it's been an interesting process so far, and I'll be able to say more later. But at this point, basically, I'm not at liberty to talk about essentially what's going on with jury duty. So we'll keep you informed on that when I can. Podcast award nominations are still open, and those are going to be open through the end of the month. So if you've got a favorite show, make sure you get over to podcastawards.com and nominate your favorite show. There's 22 categories to submit shows from, so make sure you fill out as many categories as you can when you're over there. Any of the shows here at GNC are not eligible for an award, so we want to make sure that you take the time, and we hope that you'll nominate shows from techpodcast.com or our Blueberry Network as well, and I'm sure those shows and those networks will basically very pleased. Hey, I did get a chance to talk to Gary Leland. Gary was in town for basically a day and a half here in Hawaii before he was heading off to Maui, and Gary and I got some time to get caught up, and he got to see the studio, and I'm thinking now, I didn't even take a stupid picture. We were all here, and he was in the studio looking at everything, and I could have had a great picture, but we're just chatting like two buddies that have known each other forever, and I've known Gary really since the podcasting space kicked off in 2004. Of course, Gary was the founder of the Podcast Pickle. Many of you remember podcastpickle.com. I think the site is still up. Don't know if it's I know that Gary talked to I just a little bit about it, but we had some other business we were discussing. But I really enjoyed catching up with Gary, and he was pretty jet lagged when he was here. You could tell he'd been running around in Oahu, basically looking at all the sights and sounds, and had been out to the Arizona and been to U.S. Missouri. Even went up into Waikiki and basically went to the National Marketplace. And so I'm sure his wife had fun impacting his wallet for the day and a half that they were there. And then they're going to Maui with his daughters and son-in-law to just basically kick back and enjoy Maui for, I don't know, a week or 2 weeks, something like that. Well-earned vacation with everything that Gary's been going through. And of course, Gary, if you're listening to the show, thanks for stopping by. I had a lot of fun. Okay, let's see what else in my stack here. Believe it or not a lot tonight, because it's been a week where during the day I have gotten nothing done. I mean, it's really been bad because I've had to come home at night and then just work, until midnight and get a few hours sleep and then go back to the courthouse. But it's the civic duty calls, right? And sent an email off to my team today and basically said, hey guys, I have been out of pocket. I'm catching up emails when I can. And my iPad has been indispensable because I can take that and hold that with me. And then whenever I'm on a break or something, bust that open and do a few emails and check up on things real quick. But it really doesn't allow you to do this like detailed. I'm glad I don't have any proposals or anything else to, because I would have had to somehow figured out how to get my laptop booted up, check things out, shut down in, the 10 minutes or so break times that we get. But anyway, you just kind of have to put life on hold. Hey, I want to remind you to go over to the Ohana store and pick up some Ohana wear. You can do that at cafepress.com/Ohana store. Lots of great stuff over there for you to check out. We want to thank Sam, who is our maintainer of this site. And I see I should refresh this because I see a few blank spots. But anyway, cafepress.com/Ohana store. Find out t-shirts, sweatshirts, and all that stuff. And I know some of you are leaves are starting to turn in some of your areas. So it's time to pick up a sweatshirt or two. Hey, longtime sponsor, GoDaddy.com. I want to, of course, encourage you to get over to GoDaddy.com and check out all their great products and services. Of course, GoDaddy has great domain names. They have hosting accounts. You name it. They've got a large variety of products and services that you really should take advantage of. And we've got some great promo codes for you to use. I want to share with you here one thing that I've been watching is about their web hosting stuff. And we've talked about this, but you look here. You just look at their economy. Let's look at their deluxe plan, their best value. You get 150 gigs of hard drive space. That's unreal. 150 gigs. Unlimited. When I bought my first server, it only had 500 megs in it. unlimited websites and bandwidth, so unlimited number of domains, unlimited bandwidth, 500 email accounts. Why you would ever need that, I don't know. 25 MySQL databases, $100 in Google AdWords credits, $50 in Bing/Yahoo ad credits, and $50 in Facebook. There's $200 right there for an account that's going to cost you at max $7.99 a month. So think about that. You're gonna spend $96 essentially for this before any of my discounts to get this deluxe account. You're going to be able to get $200 worth of ad credits. So right there, you're $100 to the positive. And of course, if you sign up for a year and you use my promo code TOD20, instead of saving 15%, you'll save 20% off on that purchase. Now, this is really the best way to save money over at GoDaddy is when you come to geeknewscentral.com, you come down to the second column of the website, and you'll see a link there. It says GoDaddy promo codes, or you can go to geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy, and it'll list all of my promo codes. Geek5, Todd20, Todd, ComSale, ComSale2, Geek Central, Aloha, Geek SSL12. So we even got basically promo codes to save you money on secure socket layer certificates. And, make sure that, when you're thinking about picking up a domain name or a hosting account or even a dedicated server, to do so with my promo codes. It puts money in the bank here at Geek News Central. It keeps the lights on and keeps GoDaddy on as a longtime sponsor. And, they've been here with us since June of 2005. And by your support, they continue to support the show. So we want to thank all of you for your continued support of GoDaddy. All right, let me go ahead here and let's go ahead and bounce right into the content today. We'll talk about Citrix a little later in the show. And let me go ahead and open up here. I had so much stuff today that I barely could get through all of it. Well, I know I can't get, I had to kill like 15 articles because there was just too much stuff. But I want to talk, there was two big things, of course, here that's happened in the last couple of days. But I want to talk about one of the more interesting articles on it's a science front. And this has made the news all over the world. The folks out of some European physicists out of CERN have basically said that they have found some particles that are moving faster than the speed of light. Now, here's the deal. European researchers said they clocked an oddball type of subatomic particle called a neutrino going faster than the 186,282 miles per second, which is really what's considered the cosmic speed of light. And essentially what they've done is the neutrino arrived at the location that it was being measured at, 454 miles from the source of from the accelerator, and basically it arrived 60 nanoseconds faster than it would have taken a standard light beam. And science calculated the margin of error at 10 nanoseconds, making the difference statistically significant. So a lot of scientists are saying the new claim is pretty flabbergasting because this completely destroys Albert Einstein's theory of relativity, that nothing can go faster than the speed of light. So scientists are really being real careful here on essentially making any claims the European scientists are making claims, and they want all their other scientists to back them up and relook at this information. But there are a lot of people that are pretty flabbergasted, and even some that saying this is a ridiculous claim. And they want to make sure that this is verified by another group. And they said at this point, this is like flying carpets. It's cool, but they want validation. So I'm sure we're going to get validation, positive or negative, on this in short order, and hopefully it can be repeated. But let's just go for a second and think about the potential here of being able to go faster than the speed of light. That has amazing implications. And boy, oh boy. Now we'll see what happens with this, but has some huge, huge implications. And, scientists saying, boy, this is going to rock our world if this is the case, because what we know about space and the speed of light could completely change everything here. And so we'll see. We'll see how this works out for them as they go through and validate this. A little bit of throwing gasoline on the fire. The folks at VIA basically want the iPad, the iPhone banned in the United States. They have filed a trademark infringement with I believe a Delaware, where did they submit it at? A Delaware court. One of those courts is pretty supportive of people that have trademark infringements. But essentially, what goes around comes around. Apple just won a battle against Samsung in basically banning the company from releasing the Galaxy Tab in Germany. So now Apple's facing patent infringement of its own, filed against by a Taipei-based motherboard, CPU, and chipset maker called VIA Technologies. And this was submitted to the U.S. federal court in Wilmington, Delaware. And they're basically saying, hey, they're infringing on two specific patents. And you know what this really is, don't you? This is fair play. And I'm sure what's going to end up happening is that by looking over the lawsuit, people say that Apple's going to have a very tough battle ahead on this one. And probably what will end up happening is Apple's going to have to get their checkbook out and write VIA a very substantial check. But this does not play well right here when we're getting ready to potentially announce the iPhone 5. And we're going to be talking about the iPhones 5 here a little later in the show. But we'll see what happens with this lawsuit. But anyway, that article was over at tomsguide.com. I'll have a link up in the show notes. So anyway, let's talk about another big topic today. Of course, we're going to talk about Facebook. Well, many people have already seen their Facebook changes. As a matter of fact, I saw the changes that on my Facebook page. It sucks. I can't see all the postings from everybody anymore. But I'm getting a little concerned. There was, I think I put something, can I find that real quick? Let me bring it up. I made a comment. Where did I make the comment? I made it on Facebook. So let me go over and I'll look at my updates. Here's what I said on Facebook today. I think people should be very scared of the vision of Facebook. They want to know everything about you, and your identity will be largely locked into Facebook. I think every person should really consider the depth of information they place and share on Facebook. A domain of your own that you control where you tell your story seems a much safer bet if you want to put your life out there. And then I go on also to say, additionally, this is what their vice president says. Facebook's vice president of products, Chris Cox, this is exactly what he said. It's a container big enough to hold your entire life. Now, when someone says, we want your whole life to be inside Facebook, I get a little bit, weirded out, quite honestly. And I think someone said it in if I have their article here, it was over on siliconfilter.com. The title of the article was, sorry, Facebook, but that stuff I share on your site is not the story of my life. And, I think we all put a lot of stuff on Facebook. Some people probably put more than they should. But all this stuff is in I've talked to you guys about walled gardens before. And I agree, Facebook has its place. We can talk to friends. We can talk with family members. It's a great way to socialize and talk back and forth. I don't care about the news stream. I care about talking about people that I know and trust, and they have that little interaction and little chit chat back and forth. That's cool. But when it comes to putting my life on Facebook and documenting everything that I do and putting everything on there, it's this walled garden information. If I use that as my primary place to do that, what happens in 20 years when Facebook isn't around anymore and I put all that data out there? Granted, we're giving a lot of information to Google, So that's another thing. But all of a sudden, the internet has become Google, Facebook, Yahoo, and a few other sites that we spend a huge amount of time on. And we're not really anymore going out and exploring the web like we used to. Do you guys remember back in the day? That was the coolest thing, is to go find new websites. You basically, and there's a lot of discovery going on. People are not doing very much discovery. They're staying in there, like, it's almost like TV. They're captured. They're captured in the, Facebook's is captured in the same as TV has. You spend 20% of your time on the internet on Facebook, but yet you're not going out and seeing the rest of the world. You're not going out to play. And I think that what we really need to watch, and I'm guilty of this as anyone, is that we really need to make sure that the internet is not all Facebook, all Google, all Yahoo. We have to make sure that we allow the internet to remain our own and have our own, where we can put our own identity and put what we want out there. I'm as guilty as the next person for putting information in Facebook, but I've also and I got a personal blog, and most of you probably don't even know what it is. I post to it like once a year. So, I'm my own worst advocate here in talking about this, because I'm not even following my own rules. And so, I have my personal blog out there, toddblog.com, and I put a few comments on there from time to time. It's just, by the way stuff. But, I'm so ingrained in Geek News Central, there's such an ecosystem there where I talk tech and where we share this show and everything else. Well, my livelihood is there. That's how I feed my family, is through that website. So, and I don't get that much traction on stuff I put on Facebook and put on Google Plus. And I don't follow the method of Scoble basically saying, hey, you need to be, this is where you need to live. This is where you're going to get the most traction. This is where social is going to happen. I still like having some control myself. So I'd love to hear you guys' feedback on this topic. And, irregardless of what Facebook's rolling out with this new personal profile, and be very careful. A lot of people are telling you to get developer accounts to get access to the Facebook features early. I think that's a recipe for disaster. All right, be careful out there. But it is obvious that Facebook wants us to stay on the webpage much longer. They've introduced Spotify's on there now. They're going to have Netflix for those of you outside the United States. They're going to have a more app integration. They're going to be trying to build an infrastructure around Facebook where that's all. It's like AOL. It smells, to me, I get this nasty whiff of, like, 2-day-old, well, I shouldn't, it's got a bad smell to it, right? So, they're building all these services around everything in Facebook, and they don't want you to leave, folks. They want you to stay right there. They want you never to, it's like, that Hotel California song, you can check in, but you can never leave. It's that type of a deal. So I guess that probably sums it up the best. That song, and for those of you that say, what song are you talking about, Todd? Hotel California. If you have never listened to that song, just go to, Spotify or Google it and listen to it. And it's Facebook and Google are pretty much, you can check in, but you can never leave type of thing. So I think we all have to be cognizant of this as things move forward with these new products and services and app integration. But it's just like AOL. You've got mail, and you never left AOL. Most AOLers didn't know that there was anything outside of AOL. Some did, but they tried to keep them in that ecosystem. So you got to give it to Zuckerberg. He's got his act together on this thing, and I don't think they completely did a good job on the music integration. We'll see where that goes. But now, here is the top 100 Forbes list. Bill Gates, $59 billion. Jeff Bezos, $19.1 billion. Mark Zuckerberg, $17.5 billion. That's higher than Sergey Brin and Larry Page, who each have $16.7 billion. Steve Ballmer, $13.9 billion. Steve Jobs, $7 billion. You should go, Eric Schmidt, $6.1 billion. He's 50th on the list. So Zuckerberg is number 14. So with that kind of money and that kind of backing, they can do a lot. It's amazing what they can do with that kind of money and the power they have. Their companies, there's all these app companies, these guys that build apps are foaming at the mouth because multi-million-dollar companies are being built on the Facebook platform. You know, you guys are playing your farming games and all this other stuff. You're dumping millions of dollars into those companies. And, you know, when you're out there farming and you're doing those stuff on Facebook and when you're spending those $2 or $3 for virtual goods that you're buying, think about your old geek here at Geek News Central and the $5 a month support plan of having being an insider. geeknewscentral.com/insider. We'd love to have every one of you be a $2 or $5 a month subscriber. If I could get half, no, not even half, if I could get 10%, not 20, 15% of you to completely just all of you go and give $5 a month to the show, I wouldn't need to have an advertiser. Matter of fact, I could hire 2 people full time, you know. So when you're out there buying those virtual goods, think about your geek here at Geek News Central. All right, so I don't know how I made it to that. They just kind of came there and went there. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Let's talk about the Google, basically, interrogation that happened on Capitol Hill. Eric Schmidt went to Washington to testify before Congress. And, you know, it's Google is, you know, Congress thinks Google's evil in their search results. And apparently Yelp.com CEO Jeremy Stoppelman has some objections to what Google is doing. He says, the experience in my industry is telling Google forces review the experience in my industry is telling Google forces review websites to provide their content for free to benefit Google's own competing products, not consumers. Consumer then gives its own product preferential treatment in Google search results. Google first began taking our content. We're talking about Yelp. Google first began taking our content without permission a year ago, despite public and private protests. Google gave the ultimatum that only a monopolist can give. In order to appear in the web search, you must allow us to use your content to compete against you. As everyone in this room knows, not being in Google is equivalent to not existing on the internet. We had no choice. So they talk about Google Maps as compared to other groups that have map stuff. Talks about Yelp, talks about Zagat, talks about all these sites that are trying to compete in the space. But yet when you do travel review, you may find a Google product or service higher than a Zagat. And Zagat guides are awesome. Of course, I think that what they do, they just bought Zagat, right? So of course, they're going to get more preferential treatment. So again, I can understand where Congress is concerned, but I have to say that I don't often click on, matter of fact, if I'm looking for stock information, I go to Yahoo. It seems like their stock data is just a little bit better. I don't use Google for any weather products or anything like that. I do use them for maps. I haven't largely used others, but you know, so I think Google's might be a little bit of a wild goose chase to a certain extent, but it does make, you know, at least somebody's looking, and I guess it's good for Congress to let Google know that they're being watched, and we'll see where this basically goes on to. But do you guys think it's what Google's doing is fair? Do you think they are taking advantage of their wide offerings? Do you have a product or service? I know that there's some buddies of mine here in Hawaii, one guy in particular that writes all original content that's gotten hammered several times on page ranking when Google has basically came in and downranked them for no apparent reason, even though they write some of the best content about coming to Hawaii and travel information and stuff like that. You know, in Geek News Central, we get a huge amount of traffic from Google every day. And, you know, thank goodness we do. But we also get a lot of organic traffic as well. And I used to be that the Google traffic was more than 50%. Now because we build our organic traffic up, it's, you know, kind of like this now, with this being organic and this being Google. And while the Google amount has continued to, and for those of you that weren't looking, maybe like 20%, but it's still a larger number than it ever was. So, I can't imagine not being at Google, losing that 20% of that is not, probably a lot of it, the organic stuff is derived via Google at some point too, but, with almost 10,000 articles on the website, that builds up a huge, basically a huge amount of Google juice. And we're fortunate to get the traffic. But what do you guys think about Google? What happened with their testimony on the Hill? Love to hear you guys' feedback. Of course, you can call the show hotline at 619-342-7365. Okay, get ready to look up your cable subscription credentials when Google TV launches a new version later this year. Turner, and got to give it to Ted Turner, will be launching new apps for TBS and TNT that will offer access to full-length episodes of TBS and TNT shows as long as the users log in and prove that they are paid TV subscribers. Just let me pay $5 for TBS and TNT, or $3 a month, or whatever it is. I don't want to turn my TV service back on. Although it's probably going to end up happening. I'm getting serious heat here. Although I did get some links in from listeners, and that's kind of that's helping a little bit. But anyway, if you're a TBS or TNT fan, of course, movies like on TNT is Falling Skies, Franklin and Bash, Hathorne, Leverage, Memphis Beat, Men of a Certain Age. None of these shows I've ever watched. Heard Falling Skies was actually pretty good, but I haven't seen it. One show that I just watched recently on the Netflix, let me see, what was the name of it? It was Fast Forward. Whoa, that was a cool one. A cool series. Almost lost in nature. Wish they would have had a season 2. So anyway, TNT, and TBS coming to Google TV, and of course TPN as well, Tech Podcast Network. All right, Google Plus is now open to all of you. You can get a Google Plus account without having to ask me for one. It's been open for a couple of days now. And Google has added Hangouts live streaming and Hangouts mobile, which is pretty cool. So I haven't played with it since the new features have been added. But you can now, I guess, stream. If you have more than 10 people in your Hangout, people can actually watch or listen to the Hangout without actually being able to interact, which is kind of cool. And but you have to have a minimum of 900 kilobits on the upload side and twice that on the download side to work. So be careful out there if you're using it on mobile. But a lot of people are using this. And another thing they've done is they've added an API. So this API is going to be pretty awesome. It's going to allow us to mash up websites and basically have Hangouts integrated with I think what's ultimately going to happen here is they're going to make Hangouts so we can record it and then submit it straight to YouTube. That's got to be coming. But with the API introduction, we're going to be able to really, I think, change social video, and I think they've got a winner here. But the API is a little bit limited, and as time goes on, they'll definitely be improving that. Haven't played with it personally yet, but everything I've been reading, it's pretty easy to mash it up, and I'm sure within a few days there's probably be some WordPress plugins out for it, but a couple of good articles over at GigaOM. Now, if you're a conspiracy theorist or global warming concerns you, this is an interesting article. This is over on Wired. And anytime I see a title like this, it really sets off alarm bells in my head. Here's the title. CIA says global warming intelligence is classified. Now, anyone tells me that something is classified, there has got to be a reason that is potential for damage to national security. They are building data and creating a center to analyze the geopolitical ramifications such as desertification certification using, this is rising sea levels, population shifts, and the heightened competition for natural resources. So whatever work they're doing on the on global warming, anything that they've learned is not going to be available through a Freedom of Information Act. And they say that that is currently it's basically classified, and they can't get access to any of the data. And that, to me, really makes me go, global warming data is being considered classified by the Central Intelligence Agency. And they have their reason, believe me, but makes you really go, huh. Now, I remember the president had promised a transparent administration. And, so I guess this is more of the administration being transparent. And, of course, we have a great 33-page document that talks about the administration's commitment to open government. So, obviously, this falls right in line with open government stuff. But it doesn't global warming, really? It just makes you kind of wonder, what kind of data are they collecting? It makes you go, But anyway, that's being reported by Wired. All right, let's go ahead and talk about privacy here a little bit. How many of you have OnStar in your car? This is a little bit scary, and get ready to find the fuse that controls your OnStar system. So even if you cancel your OnStar service, the company is saying that they're going to still track and sell your location information. GM subsidiary OnStar is alerting its customers that even if they decide to cancel their service in the future, OnStar will still track information about them and, of course, sell that data. Now, what's changed is that if you want to cancel your OnStar service, they're going to maintain a two-way connection to your vehicle unless the customer says otherwise. So you have to tell them, do not track me. And I don't know how this is going to work. This is kind of a creepiness factor here. And you're using the service as a safety, as a service to help you find locations. But when you quit, just think about the data being collected in every Chevy vehicle that has the OnStar. Wherever you go, they're tracking you. All that GPS information is being fed back. And, at what point will OnStar data be subpoenaed? It probably already has in divorce cases and so forth. But that data in the wrong person's hands, pretty scary stuff, especially if it's a bad guy. If it's a really bad person, they're going to see all of your habits, what time you leave your house, what time you come back, where you stop off for milk, where you buy some eggs, where you pick up your kids. It makes you go, Now, on the other side of the thing, Governor Brown in California has signed a bill outlawing warrantless smartphone searches. So that's a good one. And basically, it's going to ban police from searching your mobile device of people arrested for a crime unless they have a warrant. So they'd have to, if you're being arrested for a crime, they're going to have to get the warrant to search the phone. Now, and also this includes a tablet, as same type of deal. If they come in your house, and if you tell them you can go ahead, you've consented to a search. So we'll see what happens with this. But it's also being. Oh, actually, he hasn't signed it. Excuse me. It says here later in the article that he has not yet signed it, and that there are rumors in the privacy community that Governor Brown will veto the bill known as Senate Bill 914 as a favor to law enforcement. So if you live in California and you want him to sign this, call the governor's office and tell him to sign it. And if the police think that you've done something that warrants them looking into your phone, then let them go get a warrant. I think it's only appropriate. All right, let's just talk here for just a second about Citrix GoToMeeting with HD Faces. You guys know that I've been using HD Faces a lot. And matter of fact, kind of did a cool thing here. What was it, yesterday? Yeah, I had a meeting scheduled, but of course, all this stuff that's been going on with jury duty, I got it rescheduled and was able to have one of the guys on the team actually launch the meeting, and then I was able to log in with my iPad, and basically the other guy drove the screen, and I was able to follow along and have a discussion. But everyone else, even though I was mobile, I could sit in my car and right on my iPad, basically work with this GoToMeeting session with this client. And it's, it's so versatile. Here you've got the ability to basically see each other on a camera now. You've always had the ability to see each other's screens. And now when I'm mobile, I can actually log into a meeting and participate in a meeting as if I was at my desktop and, talk about the product, not talk about the product, but talk about, what we've got going on in the planning meeting and so forth. And really, this is a way that I meet with colleagues and business people every day of the week. And with this HD Faces features with GoToMeeting, you can collaborate with anyone around the world and see them face to face. And it's awesome. I love using this new product or this new version of the product. And facial expressions can just really express so much more than words ever will. And the video is clear. It's as good as anything out there that I've ever seen as far as the video conferencing solution goes. You can have as many as 6 people on the video. You can have as much as up to 15 people actually on the basic plan. You have as much as 15 people in the actual meeting. So the primaries can see each other. Then, if you have secondary people in the meeting, they don't, or you can turn off who can see each other and who can't. So I want you to try GoToMeeting with HD Faces. It's going to change the way you work. As a listener of the show, you can get it for free for 30 days. Visit GoToMeeting.com. Click on the Try It Free button. So all you really got to do, and let me just bring this up. This is a piece of cake. You go over to GoToMeeting.com. You click on the little orange Try It Free button here, and then you enter the information out, your name, your first name, your last name, your email address, and enter the promo code podcast. So make sure you type right in there, PODCAST, and that gives us credit for your trial. And I think you're going to love using, well, I know you're going to love this product. So you get a 30-day trial on me, and I want you to try again for 30 days. Go to GoToMeeting.com, click the Try It Free button, and use the promo code podcast. We thank Citrix GoToMeeting for being a longtime sponsor here at the show. You guys got to check it out. I'm telling you, it's awesome. All right, let me go ahead and move into another article on Tech Dirt talking about a Freedom of Information Act that revealed. You remember last month or month and a half ago when they had those protests at the BART station in San Francisco? You know that BART shut down the cell service between a number of stations. And the interesting stuff is in this, basically there's the full detail of the Freedom of Information Act, got all the data, all the emails, all the responses, and all it took was BART to send one email to the telecom authority, and they shut it down. They shut the cell phone service down. A single email. And to think that it would be that easy is pretty scary. What if that person's email got spoofed and you say, I need the whole BART system, every station shut down right now? And it's just a single email got this accomplished. And not a very big email at that. Let me read to you. Let's see if I can I scroll down on this? Oh, come on now. It was like a 2-line email. And I'll have the link up in the show notes for you to check out. But it's just remarkable that it would be that simple for them to do that. But I guess that's the way it works when you have a email address that ends in .gov. You just say, hey, I want the cell phone service shut down. Shut her down now. Oh, yes, sir, right away. Thank you very much. Without no questions asked. Amazing. Really is. Dish Network is apparently going to announce tomorrow that they're going to have a blockbuster branded Netflix streaming rival. And so this event should be going on shortly after this show is released. Actually, it's going to happen at 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pacific. And they're going to be announcing a blockbuster streaming service. So I wonder if that's going to come with the DVDs as well. So there is going to be an alternative here available soon. And I'll definitely be testing this out when it's a launch. We'll do a full review of it when it's available. But apparently, Blockbuster is going to be coming to Google TV. It's going to be available on your PC, Mac, smartphone, and so forth. And I don't think you have to be an actual Dish customer to be able to subscribe to this. So we'll see what happens in their announcement tomorrow. All right. Hey, net neutrality rules kick on November 20th. The Federal Communications Commission net neutrality rules will be published in the Federal Register on Friday and go into effect barring legal challenges on November 20th. But this announcement about the dates basically allows companies then to file legal action. So I'm sure that Verizon and other companies could initiate additional legal challenges like they have in the past. So basically, these rules are the outcome of really years of debate, and it basically lays out specific net neutrality principles and really essentially lets the internet service providers ration access to their networks as they see fit. And it's supposed to prevent them from discriminating against content that comes from competitors, but only time will tell how effective that is. But anyway, net neutrality rules kick in on November 20th. All right, have you got a Sprint hotspot? Well, I got bad news for you. And I don't know if this covers me because I don't call my service a hotspot. I've got their MiFi. Maybe it is a hotspot. I don't know. But anyway, say goodbye to real and true unlimited data. Sprint is saying that the company will start capping data used by phone hotspot to 5 gigs per month. And even existing customers are not going to be exempt from the new cap. They're going to be migrated to a new plan, enforcing the limit after a friendly reminder from the carrier. And overage is only going to cost you 5 cents per meg. If they basically throw this on me and basically cap me at 5 gigs, this is going to question whether or not I will continue with Sprint. It really will. And there's no other choice. There's no other advantage to stay with Sprint, especially if LTE starts getting rolled out by AT&T more. There's going to be some options out there. And if we're all at 5 gig, I mean, why should I stay with Sprint? But I've got a corporate account, so we'll see what happens with this, whether or not it affects me or not, or where it's going to affect everyone else. The feds are asking, is an ISP code of conduct the best way to fight botnets? Department of Homeland Security and the National Institute of Standards and Technology are looking to beat back the spam generators, the distributed denial of attack service zombies, and so forth. And what they're proposing, and let me show you this image. It's similar to what Australia, Japan, and where else? One other place, Germany are implementing. And it's essentially, let me bring this up. It's going to start out with the ISP detecting an infection by using honeybots and on the internal network of the ISP. The second step is that the infection log is going to be sent to the project participating ISP. It's going to identify infected machines from the infection log, and then it's going to send an intention-rousing mail to the infected user. They're going to set up a website that basically it directs them to basically do bot disinfestation. And then once the user has basically got his machine clear, reports back that it's clear and it's good to go. And but it's basically called an anti-bot countermeasure project. And they want to do this with all of the ISPs that are willing to participate. I think this is a pretty good idea. I think this is a great way to clean some of this up, because if you get something in the mail, say, hey, dude, your computers are hijacked. You need to get them cleaned up. This infestation issue is many times people get that they don't know what to do. And unless they're a geek, they have no idea how to clean their machines. They take them over to to Best Buy and let the Geek Squad work on them. Good luck getting anything done right with them, in my opinion. But, here, so if they send them to a website that at least says, okay, you've got this and this is what you got to do, clean it up, or you can't clean it up and you have to reset your machine, at least people know, and gives them the ability to get these machines cleaned up, and at the same time, help protect them from, identity theft and everything else that goes along with these bot networks. So time will tell. Well, I tell you, our esteemed ex-Vice President Gore, in a in a speech at the Discovery Invest Leadership Summit in Johannesburg, South Africa. Boy, he flew his personal jet down there, his green jet. It flies on aviation jet fuel. Yeah, his green jet. He flew down there, and he reportedly, of course, that Vice President Al Gore is on the Apple board, and he reportedly referenced to the new iPhones, plural, coming out next month. So that has fueled a whole bunch of speculation here. And the Foxconn factory is kicking out 150,000 iPhone 5s per day. So we'll see what happens here. But there's been rumor already that some people thought that there's going to be two new phones, potentially an iPhone 4S and an iPhone 5. And we'll see here what happens. But nothing like iPhones. People wouldn't say you'd say iPhone, the new iPhone, not the new iPhones. So maybe we'll see two versions of it. I wouldn't be surprised. They've got to shake this up a little bit. Microsoft is basically handed over its the Rust botnet case to the FBI. They basically said, hey, we're giving you all the information. As we know, this hacker is more than likely in Russia. Here's the information. Go get him. And I'm thinking, good luck. They'll never find that guy. Are you a StumbleUpon user? Well, StumbleUpon is shutting down its PhotoBlogs themes group on October 24th. And I'm sure there's a number of users that are very disappointed about this. But the company's saying it's shutting down groups, photos, and HTML blogging, and the ability to select a theme. That's all going away on October 24th. StumbleUpon says the decision is about being honest about what is good and away from what it's not. So it's not trying to be a Tumblr, a Twitter, a Facebook, or MySpace. So basically, the StumbleUpon is going to be going to have whatever remaining features they have. I don't do much. I don't get a lot of. Every once in a while, my traffic just goes straight up for about 10 hours, and then it goes back to normal, and it's all like these StumbleUpon bursts. I love it when it comes because we pick up new listeners to the show, and I always see an uptick, and especially if the burst comes right about the time a show's been released, people seem to gravitate to it, subscribe to it. But it's really interesting. If you've got that stumble bar on your browser, hey, every time you hit a Geek News Central, hey, say, I like it, I like it, I like it. It's greatly appreciated when you do that. That helps drive those microbursts of traffic to the website. And the more weird news today, and this comes from the folks over at Gizmodo, Verizon is basically saying, hey, guess what, the FCC, or the FTC, we support the Death Star and T-Mobile's, we support their takeover. And here's a quote from, I guess, their CEO. He says, CEO Lowell McAdams says this: it had to occur because you had a company with a T-Mobile that had spectrum but didn't have the capital to build it out. AT&T needed the spectrum. They didn't have it in order to take care of their customers, and so that match had to occur. It's just kind of like this matter of fact state saying, hey, T-Mobile has the infrastructure, but they don't have the money to build it out, and AT&T needs the spectrum, so they're going to buy it. So, go ahead, let them. So does that mean that Verizon is putting the dib in so that they can keep the fire alive, and with the potential of when they try to swallow up Sprint, that's going to be allowed to go through? Because, hey, if you let AT&T acquire T-Mobile, Verizon should be able to acquire Sprint. That's only fair, right? That's, they think, the premise of this. Why not? Why not just have two mobile companies in the United States? That's all we need, right? AT&T and Verizon. We just need two companies. Two companies compete together, right? There will never be collusion. There'll never be prices set one watching the other. There'll never be any competition that way, right? After all, everyone's going mobile. Billions of dollars are at stake here on these investments and acquisitions, and probably trillions over the lifetime of the deal. And of course, there's only so much spectrum. It's not like we're making up new RF space. There's only so much available out there, unless the FCC gives us more. So yeah, hey guys, shh. Let's go ahead and tell the Federal Trade Commission that we think this deal's good, and then they'll let us, when we get ready to go by Sprint, we'll say, see, you let them do it. Okay, let's do this. All right, let's go. Don't trust any of them. Ladies out there is a further hope here. Penn State researchers have identified a virus that's safe for humans, but deadly to cancer. The virus is called adeno-associated virus type 2, and scientists show in the lab that it kills breast cancer in 3 stages. And that's a big deal currently to this article, because different stages of cancer now require different types of treatment, and it's difficult to get it just right. They published the results in the Molecular Cancer. There's no treatment. There's no trials. But this is, they're also saying that the virus also potentially kills cervical cancer. Here's my prediction, folks. They're making so many, first of all, we have to make sure that the pharma companies are going to allow this type of treatment to move forward. Because if you have a cure for cancer, breast cancer or cervical cancer or colon cancer or whatever it be, if you come up with a treatment, then people don't need medicines no more. So the pharma companies are not going to have these billions of dollars in earnings every year. So if the pharma companies allow scientists to develop treatments for people for cancer, I think, cancer is at the point now where we're close to being able to really knock it, just maybe, completely cure cancer at some point. But, there's big money, and there's a big money in the pharma companies, billions of dollars in sales of pills. And they don't want people to be healthy. So we'll see where this goes. So, there's lots of cash in medical, and especially in pharma. They don't want people to be healthy. All right, pretty cool Space Aurora video, and I have this link up in the show notes. If you thought the International Space Station flyby was cool, this one's even more awesome. Someone said that they got sent over to the link that I had put up for that, and it bounced them to another website. Did anybody else have that happen? Tonight I'm going to be sending you over to a website that I'm more familiar with. But I took that link out of the show notes after hearing that report. I only got one person said that they landed on the page where the International Space Station flyover was, and they got bounced to a third site, which is not good, because if any of you had that happen, drop me an email. I want to know, because I only got one complaint, and usually something like that would be just explosive. I would get an inbox full, and I didn't. But this one here is on a website that I'm very familiar with. Have the link up in the show notes. Hey, those of you in Europe, the Boxy's coming to Europe in the next month or so you'll be able to buy that, pick it up. Of course, watch the TPN or Blueberry channel on the Boxy. The folks over at Roku have confirmed an official YouTube channel is under development, so that's good news as well. I got a stack of stuff, and I'm not even 3/4 of the way through tonight. An Apple patent is now going to allow us to pay our parking meters with our iPhone, and that's basically near-field communication chip being in the phone and being able to make payments. We've talked quite a bit about NFC here in the most recent, 2 or 3 shows. If you live in Italy, Italy's proposing a draconian one-strike anti-piracy law. So if you live in Italy and you do basically go out and get on a peer-to-peer site one time and check, you could lose your internet for life. Isn't that nice of them? One strike. uTorrent has added Android, iOS, PlayStation 3, and Xbox to basically integrated for that. So this is a new release of uTorrent, and so you can integrate with a variety of devices. So this is pretty cool. And with over 100 million active users a month and a market share of nearly 50%, uTorrent is without a doubt the most often used BitTorrent client. A good article over here on CNET talking about Mozilla proposing not so rapid releases of Firefox. And I think they got so much pushback by developers, they decided to slow down their release cycle a little bit. But it isn't going to stop them from releasing the next version of Firefox. That Firefox 7 is going to be released next week on September 27th. So that's less than 5 days away here. So we're going to have Firefox version 7 is going to pop. And I think I'm running it on a couple of machines already without any issue. But again, Mozilla is extending their release cycle and hopefully allows some companies to catch up. They got huge pushback. I think we've talked about that several times here on the negative effect of that as well. The folks over at Nikon have introduced a new mirrorless camera system with interchangeable lenses, and I really like this this model of going to a small body camera that you can buy mini lenses for. So they stay small, but yet you can have a few lenses, small telephoto or small wide lens, and they're not cheap. The lower priced Nikon comes in at $649, including a kit lens, and the Nikon 1J1 comes in at $899. Now you can get a full DSLR body for that type of price, but the lenses are definitely more expensive. But these are nice and compact. I like them. They would make perfect cameras for shows where we don't want to carry along the big honker and so forth. So anyway, I have the link up in the show notes for that. Hey, this is a weird one. Cable is winning the broadband war, but telcos are winning the TV war. Haven't thought about this angle. Okay, the telcos come in and they sell you TV like they're doing here. Hawaiian Telecom selling TV and internet. They're making you bundle it, so you can't buy it separate, at least here in Hawaii. But what they're seeing is they think that the telcos may end up, once again, be left holding the bag because cable's going to continue to sell broadband. And at some point, cable knows they have to go to an internet IPTV type of platform. So they're going to get rid of some of their traditional way they're delivering television. I think this is an interesting trend. We'll have to keep an eye on this. But in a fight for new subscribers, telcos are taking the TV and not broadband. At least in this report. In Hawaii, you can't have telco without the TV. You can't have TV without the internet, vice versa. I already talked about Netflix rolling a Facebook app out to over 40 countries, but not the United States. Those of you that are Pandora fans, Pandora has gone HTML5. They have unlimited free listening. Of course, it's going to be ad-supported, so you're going to be listening to all kinds of advertising tied in there. But anyway, if you want to check out the new Pandora website, it's HTML5 capable. And YouTube is also making some moves. YouTube is introducing a new online video editing system. I have a link up in the show notes. This is pretty nice. They've done a good job. You can put in effects. You can change your color video to a black and white. You can do chopping. You can do all kinds of stuff. So you can swap out the audio soundtrack as well with free tracks from their library. Lots of cool features. I prefer to edit on my computer than upload it. Of course, tomorrow's the day we're going to have this. Supposedly, the satellite is going to be re-entering in the atmosphere. And they're saying that the satellite will not be over North America tomorrow at all, which is interesting. So everyone else, look out. But I think everyone in the lower 48 is safe. Apparently, the police have arrested some more LulzSec and anonymous hackers. And a few of them were in jail. So we'll see where this develops. So apparently, one of them was also homeless, which is kind of odd. But anyway, that was the news that the police have made more arrests with LulzSec and anonymous. Last couple of articles here real quick. Anonymous is declaring September 24th, Day of Vengeance. And in the U.S. plans a series of cyber attacks. They're saying, in conjunction with protests, the statement says a series of cyber attacks against various targets, including Wall Street, corrupt banking institutions, and the New York City Police Department will be launched. And they made this announcement from a Twitter account called PLF 2012, and they're going to be publishing ongoing reports throughout the day. So follow that if you want to. And if you want a blast from the past, here's the last article, and it's basically a Best Buy flyer from September of 1996. And just let me show you these deals before we get out of here. Best Buy has had some great we have a cassette deck car stereo for $69, a Magnavox 25-inch CRT TV for $299, CD-ROM software where you can basically get software on CD-ROM, $399 each. And check this out, the best deal of all, 133 megahertz Pentium multimedia system. Let me look at the specs on this thing. A 16 megs of memory, 2 gig, yes, I said 2 gig hard drive, 28.8 modem, a CD-ROM drive, a 16-inch SVGA monitor. What else was on this? Telephone answering system built into it. Woo! A full duplex speakerphone and preloaded CD-ROM software with Windows, 95, Microsoft Encarta, and Microsoft Works. That was $19.99. That was a 166 megahertz system. Woo, boy, we've come. Yes, I know we've come a long way. It's amazing. And to think that I was paying that kind of money for those types of systems just not that many years ago. It's makes you go, It really does. But it's that 16 megs of EDO memory. 16 megs, not 16 gigs, 16 megs. Oh, funny. Oh, it's truly amazing where we've come. All right, everyone, let me go ahead and let's see if I think I've got some voicemail, but I didn't download it. Let me see if I can actually play it here. And I don't know if these are telemarketing calls. They're all pretty short. Let's see if I can set this up real quick. Forgot to plug in earlier. Let's see if we can play this. This will probably someone's going to be trying to sell me something here. Session expired. Okay. Log me back in. And where are we at on time? Yeah, we're okay on time. So let me go back and click that. Click this. Normally I download these and have these queued. And it's going to say, yes, do you want to use JavaScript? Yes, we do. Go ahead. So we'll see what happens here.
Hi, Todd. This is Lindsay calling on behalf of Everloop. I shot you
Oh, we better not play that one. That's a legitimate one, so I'll download that. What's the next one here?
Hello, my name is Ben Johnson.
Oh, yes, I'm sure your name is that, and you want to sell me something, do you? Now, let me look at the last one here.
Hi, this is Scott.
Oh,
Listen,
Scott.
You've always known that there must be an easy way to have an abundant...
Yeah, someone trying to sell me something. So, it's these war dialers. Let's delete those other two, and we'll call Lindsay back. I know what that's about. I wonder how she got that number. That's odd. All right. Got some email, too. So let me go ahead and go into the email. Let's see. I don't think we have too many. Don't remember throwing that many over there, although we did have a couple of good ones. And let me bring this over here. As you can tell, I'm fully prepared tonight to read you email. And is this okay? I got an email from check this out. I got an email from my contact over at GoDaddy. I just want to share this with you as by the way. It says, Todd, early next week, we're expecting to announce that the GoDaddy Group Incorporated is managing more than 50 million domain names. Here's some stats you might find interesting. GoDaddy registers more than one domain every second of every day. Right around the .com bubble burst, there were only 17 million domain names registered worldwide. While there are more than 2 billion people online, there are only 210 million domain names registered worldwide. GoDaddy has more than 9.6 million customers. That's amazing. They have a full 25%, a little under 25% of the entire .com or domain network. That's just amazing. It really is. And I have 230 some of those domains. Got another email here from Fallon. He said, "Hey, Todd, there's a lot of talk about cutting cords and alternatives to cable and programming, streaming media anyone, Netflix, Hulu, you name it, and many consumers take kindly to the idea of liberating their living room. What's beyond that tangly mess is in the corner, apparently a whole other realm of in-home entertainment. To help you ease into your cord-free future, Sony has just developed some awesome wireless speakers, and our newest home share speakers not only lightweight and portable, but also battery-operated and AirPlay compatible." So I thought this was interesting. I hadn't seen these wireless speakers from Sony. This was a PR pitch, but I wanted to share it with you. And what's interesting is they didn't send me a link to anything. Big mistake on that. I've got an email here from Tim. Say, "Hey, Sarah Todd, I hope you're not sick of me being on the anti-Netflix bandwagon, but I thought this was absolutely hilarious. The attached document is an image I took between the 5-day stock changes between Netflix and Blockbuster on Wednesday morning, 9/21. He says, or simply compared online. Anyways, I thought it was newsworthy because one is taking off and the other is crash landing. It does. It shows Netflix going just like this, down 25%, and it shows Blockbuster being up 51%. This is truly, let's see, can I put this up? I can't. I don't have a way to put this monitor up. But it does. Over the same period, it shows, Netflix in a nosedive. But you got to understand, too, that Netflix is at $130 was their stock price. And I think is this in, where's Tim at? Is he here in the U.S.? Is that, I guess, $130 per share, whereas Netflix, Blockbuster, I'm sorry, very easy to go up 50% because their stock was only at six. Yeah, is that right? 6.5 cents? Hey, Tim, there's a big difference there, dude. 130% down 25% and Netflix up 51. They only got to go up like 15 cents or something to get a 50% increase in their stock price. Did you look at the actual price of the stock? I didn't realize that the Blockbuster was that low. I think it's about the same price as Wizard Media's stock. Their stock is like in the pennies right now too. All right, let me go ahead and talk here. Last email, I think. Oh, I got a couple more. I got an email from Jay Matt. He says, "Aloha and howdy from Texas. I finally took the time out to email you and wanted to tell you how much I've enjoyed your show. I've been listening to you through Stitcher every morning after the actual show. I actually started listening after Steve Jobs did the conference a few months ago about the cloud. I searched podcasts talking about it, and there you were. I've been a loyal listener ever since. Eventually, I did join the newsletter, and I may be dense because I didn't realize everything you were talking about was an actual link to where you found the information. That is actually really cool. After show 700, I realized you wrote a book, and there was such a controversy. I ordered the book just to see what the fuss was all about. It's a little dated at this point, Jay. I haven't read it yet, but I find podcasting a very interesting art and expression of people's self-interest and talents. After listening for a while, I also learned what a Roku and Boxy were. I currently have the iPad 2, and this is how I listen to your show. I've yet to make time or search to see if any of your other shows are on Stitcher. If you can let me know what to search for, I'll be sure to listen to those too. I also follow you on Twitter and Google+, and truly enjoy the content. You bring it to light and share with others. The email turned out to be longer than expected. I do have a question, though. I recently bought an Apple TV and wanted to know if you reviewed it in a podcast, if you could possibly email the links that you had from that show. Right now, I'm not sure of its total potential, but with how you review things, I'm sure you checked on its capabilities. Again, thank you for the time and making the show happen every week and keeping it good. Take care and aloha. Jay, hey, on your iPad, just load. You can find me in iTunes, and you can subscribe to the show. And actually, I think now you can, with this new update coming to, you can actually download the shows manually when you're on a Wi-Fi connection with your iPad. But just subscribe to the shows in iTunes, and that way it gets in your podcast section on your in the iPod area of the iPad, and that way you can download the shows, and you don't have to worry about being connected and streaming and burning bandwidth on through your stream there with your 3G connection. But I think we talk about Apple TV a lot. I don't know if we ever did a full knockdown review on the show itself. There may be something on the website. Got an email here from Tim. He says, He said, I'd be horrified if I was the CEO of Netflix and probably come to my senses pretty quick. He sent me a link to some information from slashfilm.com. And what else here? I got an email from, let's see, what was the last date of the last show? Let me make sure I'm not going over stuff I already covered. Yeah, this is safe. I recently purchased a dongle from Sony for one of their Blu-ray players. After a week of trying to get a connection, I finally gave up and called tech support. 2.5 later is on my dime because they don't have an 800 number for tech support. I was told it was my wireless router. It seems we have a 3G, 4G router, and it's not compatible with any of the dongles or any of the TV top boxes like Roku, etc. I need to get a recommendation for a wireless router that is compatible with these devices. Thanks for any help you may be able to provide, Greg. I'm trying to catch up your podcast. Maybe drawings for a Roku or any other boxes I'd like to enter too. Is it still possible to get an invite for Google+? Well, again, Greg, things are open on Google+. You can just go over there and get an account now. So far as the router goes, I'm a big fan of Netgear stuff. You can probably pick one of those up. You just go over to Best Buy and ask them, tell them your issue, and say, hey, I need a new wireless router, and I'm sure they're going to hook you right up. $100 will get you there, and you should be good. I think that's it. I had one more email that did not make it into the show notes for some reason. It was basically a suggestion. As a matter of fact, is it here? Let me look. Yeah, I got information from Frank on the Pirate Party, and thanks for that, Frank. I had one other thing on streaming services. I guess I didn't copy it in, but we're long, and I need to get everybody out of here. Hey, everyone, thanks for listening. Geek News is the Twitter account. geeknews@gmail.com. geeknews@gmail.com. Voicemail hotline, of course, is 619-342-7365. It's been my pleasure to bring you the show. Thanks for hanging out for the long roll here tonight. But we'll be back with you on Monday with another edition of the Geek News Central podcast. And, of course, live as it can be. Everyone take care. We'll see you next time. And aloha.